A busy Quake schedule is turning out remarkably well with a third win in 8 days for the Earthquakes, the most recent being a convincing 2-0 road win against the Colorado Rapids. My name's Kevin, I'm joined by Luis, and together we're the Quakesaholics. Let's talk about this match. Luis, what words come to mind when reflecting on this match?
Yeah, I would say comfortable, straightforward, and honestly, a bit of a slow game. It was a little bit hard to watch at times, but I mean, come away with 3 points, especially away, and you're happy all the same.
Right. And I think my phrase would be something along the lines of déjà vu. I remember last year it was around match day 10 that we signed Hernán López, and then shortly after we traveled to Colorado Rapids, and then he scores a first half stoppage time goal, and that secured the Quakes' third win in a row. And then we basically did the same thing with DeJuan Jones, signing him around match day 10, and then now we see again we have another 3-win streak with one of them being an Open Cup game, just like last year. So yeah, deja vu, feeling good. So taking this game from the top, let's talk about the lineup. I think there was really two main talking points for here. The first one is that Hernan wasn't in the lineup, having played against Sacramento Republic on Wednesday, so presumably he is fit, but he didn't even travel. And then we did see Rodrigues back in the lineup. I think this was his first start in 3 MLS games. Last one was against Kansas City. So any thoughts there, Luis?
To be honest, I was surprised about not seeing Hernan. I would have assumed that he would travel for a game like this. But again, it's still true that he's come back from a long-term injury. Not too crazy, I guess. Like when I did see that he wasn't even in the squad. Hopefully I assume that means he didn't travel and he just got to kind of rest at home. Probably has something to do with the big game that everyone's talking about coming up on Wednesday. What were your thoughts about the Hernan absence?
Yeah, at first I was definitely surprised. Not so much that he wasn't in the lineup, but more so that he didn't travel. And I'm saying that because he did play against the Town FC. Now I'm also thinking about it. So like he has been training, he has been playing for at least a week now. I would expect him to be fit, but yeah, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. I could definitely see this as just being a precaution, and I think it's fine. Like the team has been playing well even when he's not around, and this is something that we talked about. Like we've seen this 3-4-3 formation being played for multiple games now, and in that it's also kind of difficult to fit Hernan in. You have to make the decision of either dropping Harks or Leroux, and I don't think at this point we just haven't seen enough to warrant that. So I think it's fine, but hopefully, yeah, Hernan can be fit for Wednesday because obviously you want your most talented players ready to play. I think Rodrigues, though, was a little bit more surprising to see him come in. Quick turnaround was surprising for fitness reasons and also for tactical reasons. I think it seemed to me like Floriani was the go-to guy, but I will talk more about this. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of games in May, so I'm sure this won't be the last time we see some kind of unexpected shakeup in the lineup.
Yeah, one last thing about the lineup, actually. You bring up a good point about if Hernan were to play this game, either Leroux or Parks would have to be dropped most likely. And I think, yeah, that's another kind of a big issue, I guess, quote unquote issue that's going to be interesting to see unravel, I suppose, for these upcoming games. Because, yeah, the way that Bruce has been putting the lineup out recently, there just isn't really a place for a 10 like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, he's one of our most, if not the most, well paid player on this squad. So it's going to be interesting. Of course, I'm sure Bruce Arena will find ways to fit him in. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how he does so.
If this does happen on Wednesday, which I think is pretty likely, I would not be surprised at all if we switch back to a 5-3-2 formation because we did see Bruce switch to that when the subs came in. This is something that you actually pointed out to me in the game while we were watching it. And that's what we saw at the beginning of the season. I think that fits. That way Harks and Leroux play. And also with, Inter Miami being the scary team that they are with the firepower that they have, it would totally make sense to be playing more defensively in that game. So, of course, this 3-4-3 system, this lineup did work. We did get the result on the road. Kind of to what you said, it did feel like a bit of a slow game. It was comfortable. I think overall the team, everyone played really well. I don't think there's any player that I can point to and say, okay, this player had a bad game per se. So let's talk about standout players. I mean, obviously DeJuan Jones and Chicho were the obvious ones. We can start there, or do you want to give any other shout outs before going into that?
I think we should just start there, right?
Mm-hmm.
DeJuan Jones, of course, this is a player he's played for the U.S. men's national team and Gold Cups. He's played with some really big teams across the league. Great player, super quick, great on that in that kind of wing back, high flying fullback position. And yeah, like you said, standout performance by him, definitely. One thing that I noticed as well this game was there was a moment where the ball came over the top going toward Danielle, and there was kind of a foot race between him and some Rapids player. And DeJuan Jones is lightning quick. Like this guy is so fast. And to have, the play where Victor Costa got involved, he's basically in that area right on top of the 18-yard box, and to just have the composure, to kind of fake out that one player, find that pass, a bit of a disguised pass as well, just the way his body was, and a great first time finish too to end that play. I mean, it's just fantastic. The kind of, and again, this is on the back of I'm pretty sure 3 assist performance against Portland. I mean, what a great pickup he has been in the few minutes that he's had with us so far.
The only question for DeJuan Jones when we made that signing, right, it was just where is he going to play on the field, and then how quickly is he going to be able to adapt and fit into the system. And I don't think many people expected him to play on the right side. He's been playing really well, and the link-up play has been really good. Like you said, the assist came against the Portland game, and it's good to see him get rewarded with the assists, with the goals, and he's generating these plays. But even had he not gotten those assists and goals, I think it's still worth pointing out that he has been making a lot of good passes. I was actually going back and looking at the passes that he made in Portland, and really just the general team trend. There's this chart that I found on Blue Sky of passes into the final third, and you can see on the right-hand side that there's actually a distribution of like, okay, which player is responsible for what percentage of passes into the final third, and you can see that DeJuan Jones is actually leading in that game. And I think in this game, he was also like top 3, top 4, which on one hand, yes, it does make sense because he's in a position that enables him to pass in the final third, just because he's playing kind of like a right wing back, right mid. But you don't see this for all the midfielders. You don't see this necessarily for like Vitor Costa, for example. So I do think that is something to note there. Just by looking at this graph, without there being any like labels on who is making what passes, you can kind of tell just from where on the field it's coming from that like DeJuan Jones is linking up with Espinosa a lot in the Portland game. And then in this one, of course, like you mentioned with Vitor Costa. So connecting vertically and horizontally, diagonally, like it's everything is good for DeJuan Jones. So a really great pickup. And hopefully it continues.
Yeah, and also one last thing too is, of course, the player that he's replacing in the squad is actually Christian Espinosa in terms of that like specific role. So it's another thing too is having him in this team and having such great output there also allows Christian Espinosa to get higher up the field, close to the goal, probably there to score as well more often as he did against Portland. So another aspect about that signing that just really helps the squad overall as well, and the way that other players fit in around him.
And yeah, on the topic of goal scoring, we can't forget Chicho. The finish was insane in this game. We see that ball go through, and it just, you think, okay, how is he going to score this? And then you just see the chip, and we were watching this on TV, and sometimes with the camera angles, the camera angles can throw you off, and so then to watch the replay to see that it actually went in, it actually went over the goalkeeper is, like I said, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those goals where like technically I just don't understand how you even execute that, how you instinctually have that's what you go for in that moment. You don't try to side foot it. Like that's what comes to mind. It's just like incredible. I mean, this is Zach Steffen. Obviously, he's a goalkeeper. He's gonna be tall. He's a big player. You see him like coming at you. He's running at you, and to chip it, get it over him, and back down again. I mean, it just kind of like goes right over. Like it's like glancing off the hair on his head. Like it's such a perfect chip. I don't understand like how he pulled it off, but. Yeah, Chicho, man, he's had some great goals this season.
Yeah, and then I was looking at this morning. There's still more matches to be played on this match day, but Chicho currently does lead the Golden Boot race, and Espinosa is still leading the assist race. So yeah, this is what we've talked about. The Earthquakes have goals in them, so it's great to see that trend continue. So yeah, those are the more obvious standout players, I guess you could say. Anyone else you want to talk about before we move on?
No.
Yeah, so I'll just conclude, I guess, with Daniel getting the clean sheet. This was the first clean sheet since the home opener, and then of course Leroux hit the woodwork from super far out. Even without the goal, lots of progressive dribbles, lots of great through balls. You can see him also leading in pass into the final third. So yeah, and again, any names that we didn't mention, like we said at the beginning, this team is a machine. This team is playing well. There isn't really anyone that played a bad game. So now looking ahead, of course, This is the game that people have been talking about since even before the season started. Like the day that the calendar dropped, everyone was talking about this Miami game. That's the next game. But then beyond that, just looking at the month of May, this is a crazy, crazy compressed month. There's 4 weeks of 3 games in 8 days. We have the Sacramento game, the Miami game, the Portland Open Cup game that we now advance to, and then the Galaxy midweek game. That's 4 midweek games in 1 month. That to me seems way too much. It is absurd, but now it is what it is. That's kind of the consequence of playing in the Open Cup. What are you thinking about for this month? Rotation, matchups, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, definitely me included, right? Like, it is exciting, getting the chance to see Lionel Messi, of course, is always gonna be kind of something, at least especially in the United States, if you don't go abroad, is not gonna be an opportunity that comes often. So I think it will be interesting to see. I know obviously he did play against Minnesota, so that kind of increases the chances probably a little bit that he does actually come and play against San Jose. But in terms of just who they are as an opponent for us, I think that I watched their game against Minnesota, and it was not pretty, to be honest. This is not the same Inter Miami team that they were last season. So I really do think that we could get at them and play a good game. I do think there's probably going to be goals in it. Obviously, both these teams have been more known for their firepower as of late than their defensive rigidity or anything like that. It's going to be a tough game, but a game that can be winnable. And looking beyond that as well, like you mentioned, yeah, I mean, this is kind of how the MLS schedule is probably going to be from here on out because of the way Leagues Cup is and the importance that we know that the league has in that competition. So there's just a lot of games packed in before Leagues Cup comes around, and it's going to be difficult, and our depth will be tested. But I do think that we have Hernan coming back. Hopefully we can get a few more players to come back. I think overall, one thing that Bruce Arena has been good with has been kind of getting some players minutes who probably weren't expecting to get as many minutes as they have, which is good because now you have those players that have a bit you as a coach, the fans have confidence in these players more than they would have probably at the beginning of the season, and also these players have a bit more comfortability or confidence in the matches that they're being put into. So definitely, yeah, it's going to be tough, but I think that on paper there is good depth. I feel pretty good about the depth.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we've seen a lot of different lineups, a lot of different formations. And of course, the Quakes haven't won all their games, but I only think there was like 1, maybe 2 games that we truly played bad. In every other game, we've been competitive. You can look at the stats. We've been there and just either finishing or counterattack or something, which is no excuse. Obviously, we need points. But the point I'm trying to make is Bruce knows what he's doing. And I don't think I would trust any coach that we've had in the past, like 5, maybe even 10 years, that I would trust more than Bruce Arena right now. So yeah, looking forward to the games for sure. So to conclude this video, we started with win streaks. We'll finish with win streaks. If I'm not mistaken, the last time we've had 3 consecutive MLS wins was back in 2021. So hopefully we can do that against Inter Miami. And I believe the last time we've won 4 in a row was in 2015, which I'm going to double check that because that seems like such a long time. But also I think about the seasons that we've had since then, and it's like, okay, that kind of checks out. That makes sense.
It is kind of believable.
Yeah. I'd have to check if like how that overlaps with like Leagues Cup or like friendlies, because I think the list that I was looking at was only MLS games. But regardless, it's been a long time since the Quakes have been a truly winning team. So it is refreshing and encouraging. I can't think of a better scenario to go into a game against a team like Inter Miami than the one that we have right now. So yeah, there's a chance. There's always a chance that we can win. I'm pretty sure that the Quakes have beaten the New York Cosmos with Pele. So why can't we just beat Miami and Messi, right?
Yeah, seems straightforward enough.
Yeah, easy task. So yeah, we'll be here to cover those games as they come. And if you made it this far, thanks for listening. Catch you next time.
Thank you.